What's up, guys? Welcome to Offense Defense. So basically, today we're gonna talk about this situation with the strike because this it's getting a little bit too intense for many people. Okay, so basically, what is going on is earlier this week, the members of the International Longshoremen Association, the ILA, initiated a strike at some of the most critical ports along the U.S. Sea. Now, I want to tell you something. The International Longshoremen Association initiated a strike, but what you have to understand is that um, there's also another association, just the ILA, that is located for that is on the west coast. Um, so they are served by the International Longshore and Warehouse Union. So it's a different union on the west coast, and they focus on the major ports on the west coast. The ILW, they focus in for the ports in Los Angeles, Long Beach, Oakland, Seattle, and other important Pacific shipping hubs. Okay, that's basically what they are about. Okay, so now let's go back to what's going on here. It's only the East Coast being bad boys. Luckily, I'm on the West Coast, right, guys? But the East Coast is being bad boys now. So basically, so the critical ports that it affect, this is pretty big, guys. It stretches all the way from New England down to Texas, and also many ports in the Gulf of Mexico. So you can imagine. So these ports manage about 68% of the nation's import. So if they shut down, it will be a disaster for the country. And the reason why they're doing the strike, they know that they have the leverage. They know it. And they're using the leverage to get higher pay and to ban automation from the ports. I personally think it's a very dangerous move. Telling the corporation, we want to ban automation and we want higher wages. I personally feel like they should shoot for higher wages and forget it, but don't put too much stress on the automation. That's what I feel. The reason why I feel like that is that by pushing for the banning of automation in all those spots on the East Coast, um, China is already automated. Many other countries are automated, and corporation they want to compete. So now you're telling them not to compete. That is the nature of a corporation. So you cannot tell them not to compete, but you can tell them, hey, give me a little bit more money. That's normal. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like the ATM machine. You cannot tell the corporations or banks, oh, keep having more tellers because I want to make money for myself. Don't have ATM machine. Let me be the teller. I will give cash. I will take deposit all the time. No, the ATM machine helps the tellers. It's an automated machine. It does kind of what the teller can do, a little bit of the job. So like the banks made the right move to have tellers plus automated machine. I think there's going to be workers, but I think there's going to be more automation. But now this is what we have to be careful. By them having the strike and by them putting all those corporations in that kind of pressure, I personally believe deep inside my heart that the corporation is going to start thinking about throwing them under the bus because corporation is going to start asking themselves, man, human beings are very difficult to deal with. They're just difficult, man. Humans are hard to deal with, and the corporation is going to start thinking about yo, we should go full automation and let's invest in research and development so that we can have full automation in maybe 3 to 4 years or 5 years. I think they might do that. And by the way, I want to tell you something very weird, guys. This is shocking that this is happening. I used to work at the port for a trucking company. I used to deliver at the port. I was delivering at Long Beach. I have a tweak card, it's like a TSA. I have those cards. You got to get into the beach. Make the delivery. It's hard work, man. Those guys work hard. So I praise those guys. Yeah, for the work they do. So now the financial cost of the strike, it might be very astronomical. According to estimate from the JP Morgan Chase, the strike could cost the US economy between 3 billion to 5 billion, 3.8 billion to 4.5 billion dollar per day. Can you talk about that, guys? Think about this, guys. Can you spend? Can you imagine? Look, okay, you know what? Let's put it this way. Jeff Bezos is a very rich guy. Should not spend $3 billion a day. even though it's worth $160 billion, because in about 3 months or 2 months, most of his money will be gone in 2 months. So think about it, because $3 billion a day. Okay, so okay, let's make it at $4 billion a day times 30 days. That's already, you already got $120 billion. So basically, in 1 month, if Jeff Bezos was spending that kind of money, or Elon Musk, they would be basically back to normal dudes like us, close to that. So you guys got to think about those things. So you'll be spending 120 billion. I think Jeff Bezos is worth 140, 150 million. So he might have another 30 billion. But if he go 1 month and 1 month and a half, all the money is gone. You need to think about this. So that this is costing a lot. Okay. Now this will cause disruption to the supply chain, and this could lead to a ripple effect across multiple industries. Now the Oxford Economics also further predicted that for every week that this strike drags on the US economic growth, it could be slashed by 0.1%. So if the strike continues for several weeks, it could chip away at GDP growth, slowing the recovery the country has been working toward right after a freaking pandemic. This is crazy. We're going through a lot, man. This thing gotta be cured, I think, before the end of this week. But the ports, the company or the shipping company cannot make a deal where they're gonna say that, oh no, you know what, we're not gonna do automation for you. I think they can make a deal that we're gonna maybe slow down the push for automation for the next 10 years. But you cannot say that you cannot do automation until you retire. No way. You can do that. You gotta get to speed. And even 10 years is too much. Maybe 5 years. That gives you time to make your money, save your money, and then. But also, automation should not be very radical that way you get rid of everybody. I think the way automation should work is that there should be still jobs for those people, but the job should be less intensive. I think that's what they should do with those people. They should make them expert in those machines, because those machines are going to break down. Those machines, they're going to require some sort of expert. The robot is not going to do the whole thing. I don't think so. So there's an inflation risk. Now let's talk about inflation risk and Federal Reserve response. Now, one of the biggest concerns is how this strike could reignite inflation. Inflation has been showing sign of cooling off after a tumultuous couple of years, right? So inflation is getting back together because after COVID we had a supply chain issue. We couldn't get the product, gas, because of COVID. They had to turn off the gas of the distribution of gas, and when the market opened again, now they're trying to turn on the supply of gas. It takes time. The price of gas went up, because there was more demand than supply. The supply of oil was less. The demand for oil was more, so of course it's going to cost more. And that happens to many food and products or other things because the supply chain does matter. However, with this strike, what we are seeing is the possibility of increased shipping rate and transportation costs, which could raise prices for consumers. Inflationary pressure would likely increase as companies pass on a higher cost to customers. If inflation ticks up again, it could also force the Federal Reserve to rethink its planned interest rate cut. The Fed have been saying that it might ease interest rate as inflation slowed. But if the tax hits things up again, those cuts might be delayed or cancelled. Okay. Now let's talk about supply chain disruption. Think about how much we rely on imported goods. We rely a lot on them. Everything from electronic, clothing, even food products come to these ports, right? With 68% of America's import potentially facing disruption, retailers and manufacturers are going to feel the squeeze almost immediately. Right? It's not just a problem of large corporations. Actually, the small businesses that rely on timely shipment to do their business could see delays that impact their operation, which it could impact their operation where they might have to shut down. So there might be a lot of small businesses that might go under the water. This disruption could make the holiday season especially challenging for retailers, given how much they demand on this critical quarter to boost their sales. Okay. Now, labor negotiation and political implication. So let's talk about labor negotiation and political implication right now. Okay. And then at the heart of the strike is the workers' fight for better pay and protection against automation. Okay, as I told you before, I don't think automation is gonna is they will be able to get that deal, and I think automation is what's gonna cause the strike to be longer. As automation become a more prominent feature in the industries across the globe, the dark workers want guarantees that they won't be replaced by machine in the near future. In the near future, okay, let's yes, okay, you know what? The near future, I think is gonna have to be like maximum, like maximum 5 years or 3 years. So now let's talk about Biden. Biden has declined to step in despite call from some political groups to invoke the Taft-Hartley Act. What is the Taft-Hartley Act? It will force the workers back to their job. Biden has stated that the collective bargaining is the best way for workers to get the pay and the benefit they deserve. This strike could drag on for some time, especially if both sides remain far apart on key issues. I think automation is not possible. They will not be able to get automation. They will be able to get like a higher wage. Why I say that? Because the West Coast got it. The West Coast workers, they're getting paid like about $50, close to $50 per hour. The East Coast workers, the labor workers, they get paid like about $30 per hour. So now let's look at the historical context and long-term effect. To put this strike into perspective, the last time we saw a major port strike in this scale was in October 1977. Wow, I was a little kid back then. And that strike lasted 44 days. Are you kidding me? We're not going to do 44 days again. Guys, don't do that. We cannot do this right after COVID. So the 1977 strike lasted 44 days. Guys, praise. Guys, I hate to tell you this. This is scary. I mean, it's not scary, but like we have to be careful. After 1 week, if we don't see any sign, things are getting scary. We got to keep it real. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat this. After 1 week, there should be a deal. Okay, and that strike lasted during that period. Inflation had been cooling, but the strike helped drive it up significantly. Month over month, inflation jumped from zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.5. By November of that year, a notable increase. If history repeats itself, we could see a similar inflationary spike, which will further complicate the economic recovery. If the strike drags on for weeks or even months, let's not even say the word month. If the strike drags on for weeks, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna say weeks. I'm gonna say something that sounds better. If the strike drags on for hours, I know I'm living in la land, but I just want to do it like that because just saying weeks or month, it gives me goosebumps. I'm scared as hell. I don't want that to happen, guys. I don't want to strike for a month. I have to go to the grocery. I've got to get bread, bananas are gonna get spoiled. The longer term effect could be substantial, affecting consumer confidence, retail price, and corporate profit. Wow, this is scary. So, guys, this is my conclusion. What does this mean to you? If you're a consumer, you might see rising prices for everyday goods, especially if the strike lingers. Investors should keep an eye on the Federal Reserve next move because inflation and interest rate changes could shake up the market. As always, stay tuned for this channel, offense and defense. As I told you, this is the name of the channel. Offense, we go try to get the money. Defense, I think right now we're on the defense mode, guys. Defense, we're trying to figure out what's gonna do so we can protect our money, protect our food, and maybe I don't know, like go. You remember during COVID, people stack up on toilet paper. I'm not telling you to do that yet, not yet. But you know, if stuff drags in, maybe you need to stack up on toilet paper and pay and bread also. But this strike is not something to ignore, you know. And maybe we should put pressure on Joe Biden not to play a game with us because I think he's doing it for the election. I personally think Joe Biden maybe wants Kamala Harris to lose, maybe or maybe not. I don't know because if he does that, if he let the strike drags and drag until November, let's say the strike goes on until November, who do you think it's gonna look bad on? It's gonna look bad on Kamala. You know what I'm saying? And that could mess up our election chances. Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching, guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you for watching.